was our 9th haul that week. We were all on tweaks, these little blue stims that kept you going without hampering your reflexes or judgment. I guess they worked well enough, but they made me have to piss my kidneys out every 20 minutes. After 2 hours of banging around in some seriously heavy turbulence, I finally broke down and turned the stick over to my co-pilot. I'd just zipped up when suddenly there was a... It took me a couple hours, splashing through this cold slime that numbed everything below my knees. I wasn't thinking clearly. My head was still spinning. I did hear the scream, though, faint and far away. I was so ashamed, so blinded by self-hate. My ship, my crew. I found myself burning up mentally. Fucking weakling, I told myself. Fucking loser. I started to spiral, not just hating myself, but hating myself for hating myself. I'm sure I must have just stayed there, shaking and helpless and waiting for Zach. But then my radio started squawking. Hello? Hello? Is anyone out there? Anyone punch out of that wreck? It was a woman's voice, clearly civilian by her language and tone. I answered immediately and demanded that she respond in kind. She told me she was a sky watcher, and her handle was Mets fan. They were supposed to report on downed air crews and do what they could to help with their rescue. It wasn't the most efficient system, but it looked like today was my lucky day. Her cabin was heavily surrounded. Before I could say anything, she told me not to worry, that she'd already reported my position to search and rescue, and the best thing to do was to get to open ground where I could rendezvous for pickup. I saw something up ahead, a lump that was almost a thicket, but too boxy and shining in places. As I got closer, I could see it was a vehicle. Metz suddenly asked, "What was that?" Before the sky started to darken, found a decent enough perch in the branches of a tall tree. I asked her if it was okay to talk about her. Who was she, really? How'd she end up in this isolated cabin in the middle of Cajun country? She didn't sound Cajun. She didn't even have a southern accent. I was starting to get my suspicions, starting to piece together a rough outline of who she really was. Metz told me, again, that there would be plenty of time later for an episode of The View. Right now, I needed my sleep, and to check in with her at dawn. I slept hard. The sky was already light by the time I opened my eyes. I'd been dreaming about, what else? Zach. His moans were still echoing in my ears when I woke up. And then I looked down and realized they weren't dreams. There must have been at least 100 of them surrounding the tree. They were all reaching excitedly, all trying to climb over each other to get up to me. At least they couldn't ramp up. The ground wasn't solid enough. I didn't have the ammo to take all of them out. And since a firefight might also buy time for more to show up, I decided it was best to pack up my gear and execute my escape plan. It's a lot like jumping from an aircraft. Pick your approximate landing zone, tuck and roll, keep loose, and get up as quick as you can. The goal is to put some serious distance between you and your attackers. The I-10 was close enough for me to make a run for it, be spotted by a rescue chopper, and be lifted off before these stink bags would ever catch up. I got on the radio, reported my situation to Metz, and told her to signal S&R for an immediate pickup. I crouched, I jumped, and cracked my ankle on a submerged rock. I hit the water, face down. Its chill was the only thing that kept me from blacking out from the pain. I reached the freeway, looming above the swamp like the ruins of a Roman aqueduct. There was no immediate entrance. Wrecked and rusting cars were piled up by the hundreds. I had to go in between the cars. My ankle wouldn't let me get on top of them, and the swarm was now gaining on me. The exhaustion, the pain, and then Metz really hit me. She roared, "What are you? Your fucking mother?" That did it. I hauled ass right up onto the interstate. I reported to Metz that I'd made it, then asked, "Now, what the fuck do I do?" Her voice suddenly got very soft. She told me to look up. A black dot was heading at me from out of the morning sun. It was following the freeway and grew very quickly into the form of a UH-60. I let out a whoop and popped my signal flare. The first thing I saw when they winched me aboard was that it was a civilian chopper, not government search and rescue. The crew chief was a big Cajun with a thick goatee and wraparound sunglasses. He asked, "Where the hell you come from?" Sorry if I butchered the accent. I almost cried and punched him in his thigh-sized bicep. I laughed and said that they work fast. He shot me a look like I didn't know what I was talking about. It turned out later that this wasn't the rescue team, but just a routine air shuttle between Baton Rouge and Lafayette. I didn't know at that moment, and I didn't care. I reported to Metz that I got my pickup, that I was safe. I thanked her for everything she'd done for me, and so I wouldn't really start bawling. I tried to cover with a joke about finally getting that episode of The View. I never got a response.